Hello and welcome to this week's edition of The Issues, where we'll talk about all issues of national concern and bring you perspectives and analysis on all of that. Now, the Judicial Panel of Inquiry on Restitution for Victims of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, Abuses and Other Matters on Monday submitted a 2-volume report on its findings to the Lagos State Government. But soon after, a white paper committee was set up by the governor to review the 309-page document. The report got leaked to the public. The panel, according to the report, indicted the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian police, describing the invitation of the military to Lekki Tollgate and subsequent shooting of unarmed protesters as unwarranted. Now, the report put the number of victims at the Lekki Tollgate at 48, out of which 11 were confirmed dead, while others were either declared missing or sustained various degrees of injury. One of the 32 recommendations submitted by the committee is for the federal government to publicly apologize to the youth for using state actors to abruptly undermine the Endsars protest in 2020. Other recommendations are that all officers found culpable should face appropriate disciplinary action, stripped of their status and dismissed as they are not fit to serve in any public office. Disciplinary actions to officers who refuse to honor the summons of the panel in order to frustrate the investigation. Nigerian Army be discouraged in intervening in internal security. Prosecution of the DPO of Morocco Police Station along with policemen deployed from Morocco Police Station on the 20th and 21st of October for arbitrary and indiscriminate shooting and killing of protesters. Bail for all arrested protesters prosecuted for any offense that may be alleged against them or where no prima facie evidence of culpability is disclosed upon due investigation. They should be released forthwith. A monument memorializing the lives lost and those injured at the Lekki Tollgate with the names inscribed on the monument. The panel called for the remaining of the plaza to be renamed to Endsars Tollgate. Lekki Toll Plaza be made a memorial site for Endsars protest. October 20th of every year be made a national remembrance and toll-free day at the Lekki Tollgate as long as the toll gates exist. Special awards for hospitals that treated victims from the incident free of charge and pay hospital bills, proper funding, provision of requisite equipment and retraining of the police force while calling for caution in the use of social media by the public, among other recommendations. Meanwhile, different reactions have trailed the leaked Lagos Endsars panel report. The United States, for instance, has asked the federal and the Lagos state government to take suitable measures to address the abuses as well as the grievances of victims and their families identified in the report submitted by the Lagos State Judicial Panel of Inquiry on the October Endsars protest. Reacting, the U.S. mission in Nigeria, in a statement, said it was awaiting the response of Lagos state and federal governments on the report. Also responding, the Chief of Defense Staff, Lucky Rabo, has faulted the way the report was leaked to the public without following due process. In a similar vein, a member of the Lagos State Judicial Panel of Inquiry on Endsars, Mr. Temitope Majekodunmi, has also expressed disappointment over the leakage of the report submitted to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Majekodunmi, who represented the youth, however, disowned the leaked report, saying that the only report he is aware of is the one submitted. According to him, the leaked report could be one of those the panel was vetting prior to the presentation of the report to the state governor. He, however, clarified that the contents of the leaked report is not far from the original, adding that some corrections were made in the original one. The Lagos state government has also reacted to the controversy that greeted the leaked report of the Judicial Panel of Inquiry on Restitution for Victims of SARS-related abuses and other matters. In a statement by Lagos Commissioner of Information and Strategy, Benga Omotosho, the state government said it has good intention for setting up the panel. According to the statement, there is need for us to restrain ourselves from nullifying the good intentions of the government in setting up this panel, which was well encouraged to do its job a fact that was acknowledged by the panel. In accordance with the Tribunal of Inquiry Law 2015, a committee has been set up to bring up a white paper on the report to determine the next line of action. At the appropriate time, the government will make known its views on all the issues raised by the panel through the release of a white paper. These are the reactions that have trailed, and yet we are going to talk about it here in the studio. I have joining me Dr. Moses Paul, a human rights activist and also an environmentalist, to give us perspectives on this issue. Let's get your reaction, first of all, to this report. It appears that it seemed to validate all the allegations leveled against government, looking at the indictment of the Nigerian army and the police.
If it was just the government, that would have been okay, looking at where we are right now in the timeline of history in our nation. But I remember clearly sitting right here in the morning show studio on the 20th of October at the first year anniversary of the killings at Lekki Toll Gate. And Daily Trust told me that they carried out their investigation and they could see clearly that nobody died, taking sides with Lai Mohammed, the information minister of Nigeria.
The stand was that it wasn't a massacre. That was the stand by Daily Trust. So using the word massacre was a bit, worrisome, looking at, what transpired.
Well, that can be, because which I clarified and I explained what massacre is here. And for those who are listening, when you take a gun, a barrage of army, police, or any gang of people against over 100 people, 200, thousands of people, and you shoot at them, that's a massacre, irrespective of the number of deaths, for those who would care to know. But my grouse with Daily Trust is the fact that I was told that to even name people who came out, and I'm here today. Like I said, I've gone beyond the government because we know where our government stands, and I know part of what I don't want to preempt what we're going to be discussing, but the white papers, all the things that you of course enumerated when you opened the show, you can see where clearly I'm very much concerned about our media, and like the judiciary and other functionary agencies and apparatus in the government and the system and in the nation. Because if Daily Trust would take the stand they took at the last interview we had, then that is more worrisome to me.
Well, the stand was on the basis that at the time there was no list given, even after inquiries were made, to provide the names of those that were killed in that incident. So that was what informed the stand, and people responsible who are in the forefront of it. For instance, the Amnesty International inquiries was put across to them, and there was no response in that respect.
Maybe again, like the narrative in our nation, but the media and other people are complicit and cannot be trusted by the citizenry, given the report that is already out right now. Don't you think so? Because this is something, I am not just for blame game, but to see how we can all collectively face this danger that is beclouding the nation called Nigeria. And of course, I would continue to push the frontier in asking the media to do what is expected and what is required. But talking about the government, it is no surprise. I know, like we have known time and time again, a white paper, Nigeria's government, after setting up a panel, will set up another committee, to set up another committee, to set up another committee, another committee. It's endless.
But that's the process. The government will say, well, there are procedures, of releasing a document or a report by government. It was the Lagos State government itself that set up that committee. So, and after that, there's supposed to also be another process of, coming up with a white paper, which they have set up that committee as well.
Yeah, and I can tell you what is going to happen after the white paper, because we have seen, and we can go on and on, whether it's a killing scene everywhere. It's not even a question of just taking one incident, So my reaction and response is the ideology that drives us as a nation. That's where the problem is. The listening to Tony Rabo, I mean, it's rather pathetic, you know, to even the reactions to the leak report. And I can tell you sitting here that the report had to be leaked because the government and the people are not aware. They're still not catching up with the fact that the Endsars generation is not one. We're not waiting for your process. This is why we're not waiting for. It took all of this time for the people, the government and the media to come to this. We've gone past that. We are a generation where, as is happening live, this is what the generation is about. It's a current generation. It's the now generation. So, irregardless of what the white paper report or whatever, the Endsars generation is moved already. We move.
So are you now satisfied, you know, with the recommendations made by this panel, you know, on this incident of Lekki Tollgate?
Personally and generally, definitely not, given what I know. I mean, the entire recommendation is the minimum, is the least expected. We have a communications minister, an information minister, who up until today does not believe that a massacre took place. We have a Lagos State governor. We have Burutai, who was the then defense chief of staff. And of course, we have only one commander-in-chief of the armed forces, President or General Muhammadu Buhari, who of course gave the order. I would definitely not be satisfied with this until these 4 people that I mentioned are brought to book. And this is where we stand.
And but with this comes the issue of legality on how to even implement this recommendation. Here is a state panel that was set up to look into this, and then making a recommendation for an institution that is not necessarily under the state government. How do you think this is going to play out?
Again, I'll keep coming back because I think it's a question of analog versus digital. It's the ideology that runs our country. It's a plague on the African continent. We've gone past a lot of things. We are the government. I produce my own security today in Nigeria. I produce my own electricity today in Nigeria. I'm not waiting for no government. Businesses are run not by government provision of anything. You can have, at best, the government policies are hindering the progress and sustainable development of the country. This is where we are. And our people still are not getting it.
Now, but the dicey situation here is that, yes, there is the need to ensure that justice is done. But again, we are confronted with the issues of legality, the issue of structure, the issue of procedures and all of that, which must be followed, in a society that operates a government. So don't you think that this is almost something that is impossible, to find that middle ground, looking at, these institutions?
Well, I agree with you in terms of the analog structure that we have in place. It's also the reason why it's almost impossible for us to move forward. Even though I will agree that we're still making progress, at least, even though at the speed of a snail. But a generation is coming that analog will have to give way. This is what we're talking about. I understand legal proceedings and all of the processes. But guess what? The analog generation is set up to ensure that things that are supposed to follow, when they talk about processes and due process and legal process in Nigeria, is dead on arrival. This is why today, sitting here, when things wants to happen, when things are going to happen, people backdate things. Maybe a discussion for another day, but this is the bane of our society. But when it comes to things that there are evidences and, everything is out in the open, then the government talks about process. What process? The people who are already buried and dead, or the destructions and the disarming, killing of patriotic, young, vibrant Nigerians who are here to ensure that things are done properly. What process exactly are we talking about here?
Now, I mean, we talked about the fact that the Lagos State government has set up a white paper committee, you know, which is also supposed to look at the recommendations that were made and the whole report, you know, and then, you know, put out the stand, you know, of government as far as that is concerned. Are you saying that you do not have confidence in that?
Exactly my point. The point is, as we sit here in this studio today, the president believed, and he has said it, this is not my word, this is the president. Muhammadu Buhari said that these young people came out to take him out of office. He believed it. And that's why he gave the order. What other process is left to be followed?
No, but there's no proof that he gave the order for that. I mean, how do you prove that?
I have only one commander-in-chief. Do you have another president apart from the president of Nigeria?
Yes, but not every, not, it's not the president that gives every order, like every single order.
For that,
the army was at the Lekki toll gate on the invitation of the Lagos State government.
That's right.
That was why they were there. So it wasn't the president that just gave the outright order. There was a request. There was an invitation.
Yes.
That was extended to the military,
yes,
to be there, and they were there.
Yeah, but looking at Nigeria's structure, the way we are, a governor doesn't even control the police. You know that, the IG, of course, and he takes order from one person. So I'm giving it back to you, following due process, following the directive of order. Where did the order come from? Maybe it's a rhetorical question, because again, the people know the answers to this. And this is where we stand. It's really, this is a very difficult interview for me, but it's the easiest, because truth can be covered for a long time. If the lighting in this studio goes off right now, this whole place will be dark, but it does not invalidate the fact that I and you are sitting in this place. They can go on with every process they want to go through. They can go on with recommendations of committees and white papers for all they care. The truth, long before even the leaked the leaked recommendation or result of the panels, we've gone past that. We know what the truth is. And this is what is important for the world to know. And for the Endsars generation who stood their ground against death and fear, it tells me only one thing, that the Nigeria of our dream will see the light of day.
Now, the Lagos State government is saying, you know, and I quote here, that there is need for us to restrain ourselves from nullifying the good intentions of the government in setting up this panel, which was well encouraged to do so, and that it was a fact that was acknowledged by, the panel. Are you concerned that the leaking of this report could maybe compromise the eventual outcome and the position of government on this?
It's the leaking of the video that is even very much important to hold the narrative of validating the processes that needs to come at the end of the day. Because I'm in my 40s. I don't even belong to the Endsars generation. But in my mindset, I am an Endsars generation. And so I know enough, the antics and the systematic way government has evolved. I'm not young. I've been here for a while. I was a child when General Muhammadu Buhari was head of state. I know exactly what happens if today we have to queue. So I understand the antics. I'm not one of those numerous Nigerians. I'm educated. I've traveled around the world, and I know government policies and the ideas and ideals that run government. So yes, while we hold the youth accountable and in terms of incitement and going overboard with the things that are happening on the social media, like also recommended, which of course I would commend, it does not remove. I bring clarity to directions and to things that are required, even in terms of government policies and where the young people are concerned. So I will tell you clearly that no, the Nigerian state and the people, part of what we are pushing is to understand that we separate clearly patriotism. We know where the nation is and we see our leaders. We must go beyond what the leaders represent to standing for the nation. And the Endsars generation is saying, no, we see clearly. We are for the nation, irregardless of how skewed the leaders have become. And these two things must be separated so they can understand where the Endsars generation stands, especially with the clamorings of different agitations that are going on in the country with secessions and banditry and the Boko Haram and everything. The Endsars generation is very clear in its mission and its vision and in its support for the Nigerian state as a nation.
All right. Now, there's no doubt about, the role that the social media played, and even the panel, raised concern about, this role that the social media played. Are you concerned that if we continue in this trajectory, the social media could pose some kind of danger, for us, as a people, and what kind of restraint should we be exercising as far as that is concerned?
I mean, just yesterday or the day before, there was parading of Desiani's diamond bra all over the social media. But the EFCC boss came out and clarified it. I sat here and I told you, there are things you cannot control. But we live in a digital age where this is, and it's very difficult for me when you're working with people who have chosen not to learn. The president, all those in the corridors of power, they knew that on the 20th of October, 2021, that there will be a memorial. As a father to the nation and as a father to the Endsars generation, of course, except of course, the president is again saying that if Yusuf Buhari was there at the toll gate, that he would have allowed for what happened to have happened. Of course, then I would agree that the status quo, stays remain the same. But if that is not the case, when the EFCC boss came out and made that, it clears everything that was going on. Why do our government wait? They receive intel. They know much more than you and I do. Reports on everywhere. There are too many agencies of government that gives informations from the local government level to the state level to the president. Why do we wait? Why not come out and clear the air for anything and everything? If the president was sitting there to address his children, the narrative today will be different. But we often wait, almost like what plagues Africa. A traffic warden man will be sitting down. He knows that this lighting has a problem, but is waiting for you to make a mistake, rather than his job is to ensure you don't get in trouble, not to wait for you to, in quote, break the law and then arrest you and impound you. This is exactly what's happening. No, I have no fear at all. I have nothing against. As a matter of fact, there will be more, because the speed at which different social media technology is rising, we better catch up. Otherwise, we will be outdated completely.
All right, then. Well, let's take a quick break now. And then when we come back, the show will continue. Dr. Moses Paul is still with me in the studio as we take on this break. Please stay with us. All right, thank you for staying with us. You are watching The Issues, reaching you from Trust Television's headquarters in Abuja. And we have in the studio Dr. Moses Paul giving us, perspectives and reactions, from the leaked Lagos Endsars report. We've seen a whole lot of reactions, with respect to that. Now, what will be your expectation, going forward as far as this report is concerned?
Because I am a believer, and my expectation, and this is personal, I don't hold Buhari responsible for what happened yesterday, because today is a new day. And I believe in opportunity. And I believe that Nigeria will rise up to take its place in the Committee of Nations. I am hoping and believing, and this is a hope against hope, that they will quickly round up the white paper and come out and follow duly every recommendation that has been given in the report, and honor it and work towards it and ensure that Nigeria is salvaged and the Endsars generation come on board and work and ensure that we move to where we're supposed to be as a nation. That is my expectation.
And if it goes the other way around now and we do not see the implementation, of this report, what does that mean? What do we risk, in that case?
If the government thought that the Endsars was anything, then they haven't seen anything yet. And I say that on my honor, because the lid is already off. The cap is already off. There is already an energy that is unstoppable. And this is a very positive one. They have to get ready, because it means that the days of sleeping for those in the corridors of power are over. And I'm saying that here because what is going to come will make the toll gate, the Endsars, and every agitation they've seen a child's play.
And if you say that, what's the context? Are we expecting more protests now, or what exactly, are you referring to?
I mean, I'm referring to an energy that would overwhelm the 2023 election, to send them packing without honor. I'm talking about, yes, more agitation and protest, because if this is not honor, then you are saying that these people don't belong here, and we can only have one state in this country. You are saying that the government of the day is saying that it's the enemy of state. That's what it's saying. Because this is not my report. This is a report set up by the Lagos state government. If it's not honored, you are saying that you are the devil in the box.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your thoughts with us. We've been speaking with Dr. Moses Paul, and he is a human rights activist and also an environmentalist, giving us perspectives on the leaked Lagos report. We await the outcome of the report, and we'll continue to keep you updated on that and on this channel. Thank you so much for watching the show. We wrap up at this point. Join us again another time on the program. My name is Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for watching.